Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very intriguing, interesting trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And again, I don't know if Amber Heard is telling the truth. I don't know if Johnny Depp is telling the truth. I can only tell you that from what I see, it seems, just from what I see, it seems like the events show that Johnny Depp could be telling more of the truth than Amber Heard. I could be wrong. The reason I say this is the following. For some reason, the Refinery 29 article and the Washington Post article that helped, that got Depp to sue her for defamation, they didn't mention Johnny Depp by name. That's telling to me. Because if you had experienced the most heinous and despicable and diabolical acts from the actor, why wouldn't Amber Heard have stated these things within the Washington Post article, or at least called police? I mean, there's a million rebuttals for that, but he's not named within the Refinery 29 and the Washington Post article. And people said, well, it's because lawyers told them not to name Johnny Depp within those articles. Okay. There's also the issue of her signing a non-disclosure agreement and getting $7 million. Now, she didn't donate the amount to charity that she promised. So this is Yahoo Entertainment. Amber Heard didn't donate Johnny Depp's $7 million divorce settlement to charity. But the real issue is the non-disclosure agreement. This is why there could be a disingenuous tone. I'm not saying that either of them are telling the entire truth or that either of them are categorically lying. What I am saying, because I don't know, what I am saying is that from looking at things in terms of the principle, if you're focused on the principle of or if you're focused on protecting the lives of vulnerable human beings, you do not initially let these diabolical allegations happen without immediately calling law enforcement. Then there's a rebuttal that, well, you know what, you can't exactly do that, or people don't want to do that, and people don't want to be subjected to all of that. Okay, that's one rebuttal. But then you don't sign a non-disclosure agreement and accept $7 million, promise to donate a portion of the money to charity, and then years later on the witness stand, then claim all of these allegations. At a certain point, if the allegations took place, and this is why this channel is amusing or important, or my thought process could be beneficial to some, this is why you should hit subscribe to this channel, hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel below in the pinned comment. Now, sometimes I'll talk about Hollywood. I did a lot of segments on Alec Baldwin accidentally ending the life of a cinematographer without the armorer next to him, without the armorer in the church, and simply obtaining a firearm without the expert there. And along with everything else that he did, claiming that she had told him to point in her direction, all of this, according to the armorer, he didn't even abide by safety training and actually ignored her request for safety training. There's a million things. There's a million reasons why that man deserves to be charged by New Mexico law enforcement. But in this case, it's entirely different. So hit subscribe to this channel right now. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. We're seeing a devastating stock market crash. Market's down. Nasdaq's down 20% from the beginning of the year. Dow is down around 10% or so. And you look, it's only going to get a lot worse. A lot worse. We have a derivatives nightmare that's just waiting to implode everything. I talk about that in my Federalist article below in the pinned comment. Also, interestingly enough, a congresswoman's communications director tweeted one of my articles from 2015 or 2014. I'll get to that in the Stock Market Crash channel below. I think the lesson or the philosophy behind the article is not really hasn't been addressed by the people sharing the article. So I used to be on the far left, and now I support Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis. So I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. I used to be the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. I want a foreign policy opposed by the Lincoln Project people. If you retweet, if you're in Hollywood and you retweet the Lincoln Project or Bill Kristol, you're an imbecile, because you're actually promoting never-ending military conflict, endless quagmires, destabilizing the planet, and you're not really opposing Republicans doing so. So if you retweet the Lincoln Project people, the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld Republicans who are now embedded within the Democratic Party, making that political party the most militant and hawkish we have in this country, you know nothing about politics, and you obviously don't care about the suffering that's going on around the world because of that foreign policy. Look at the invasion taking place in Europe right now under the watch of President Mashed Potato Brains. I'm going in all different directions, but it's just interesting. There's a Huffington Post article I wrote in 2015 that a communications director retweeted of a leading congressman on the congresswoman on the far left. And so anyway, I will issue a respectful clarification. I don't know, a rebuttal, but a respectful commentary on why I think they're missing the point pertaining to that article I wrote. It was basically talking about if you call Bush a certain label, then you would have to call President Obama and Bill Clinton and LBJ and others the same type of label. Anyway, I also want a great economy. Inflation is through the roof. Inflation is causing people to descend into poverty. So the systemic injustices that Democrats claim to oppose and the injustices linked to U.S. history are being exacerbated. If indeed these injustices are widespread and systemic, they're getting worse when Democrats are in the House, the Senate, the presidency. We have President Mashed Potato Brains presiding over an economy that's tanking. I explained that in the Stock Market Crash channel. To read my writing in The Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, the Jerusalem Post, the Federalist, this is why you'd vote if you were formerly from the far left like myself. You would vote if you were the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, like I was, or the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, like I was. This is why you would go from Bernie Sanders to Trump or DeSantis. You want a great economy, which is what we had under Trump, and you want a great foreign policy. First president to step foot in North Korea, Abraham Accords. You had a first president to ever sign an executive order combating anti-Semitism on college campuses. Only president ever to allocate more funding to historically black colleges and universities and make the funding permanent. That was Trump. And you had first president in recent memory not to have started a war. That, or a long-term military engagement by the United States. Okay, that was Trump. Anyway, so I'm all over the place, but I wanted to kind of address that because my writing is being publicized by people on the left, articles that I wrote years back in the Huffington Post, and I think the lesson is being lost a bit. Those articles would compel or would encourage should encourage people to vote for Trump or DeSantis. That is a repulsive notion to people on the left or Democrats, but my writing on the far left is the basis for my viewpoints now. Nothing's really, the core principles of what I believed when I was a Bernie Sanders supporter in 2016 are embodied by Trump and DeSantis. That's a whole other story. I wrote about in the Federalist why Bernie voters should vote for Trump. Again, though, you'd have to know something about politics to understand the correlation between Bernie 2016 and Trump and DeSantis. Anyway, people who are into Hollywood or Hollywood people would look at this and, oh my God, this man's out of his mind. Well, look at the Democratic donors recently who one was imprisoned for decades for committing for his life, the rest of his life, for committing the most heinous crimes in Hollywood. You can look at the directors who are now serving life sentences, one of whom is serving a life sentence. Hollywood is the epicenter of immorality in this world. The last industry that should ever pontificate or condemn or opine on morality is Hollywood. But anyway, that being said, getting back to why this is an interesting discussion, I don't understand why somebody, if indeed they experience these horrendous accusations leveled at Johnny Depp, would take $7 million from the person or would sign a non-disclosure agreement and then promise to give to charity and not give to the to charities. See, at a certain point, you have to back up your allegations and claims. And that's what truly helps vulnerable people. You can't simply say you're speaking out, you're writing a Washington Post, or somebody, your friend is writing a Refinery 29 article, and you can't simply say, well, this is helping people. It's not helping people because you're not, A, even mentioning the man's name, B, and I think you're not mentioning the man's name because you didn't want to be in legal jeopardy, which you wouldn't be if you were telling the truth, and this person did commit such violent acts. So you signed the NDA, the non-disclosure agreement, you took the money, and then years later, in a defamation suit, you then accuse him of these terrible, terrible criminal acts that should have been A, reported to the police, but B, should have been one of the reasons that you don't just sign a non-disclosure agreement. So here's a Daily Mail article. Actress Amber Heard could face $7 million bill for telling truth about Johnny Depp after signing a non-disclosure agreement. So this is £5 million here. So £5 million bill. And so, but now she could enter a witness, give evidence against the actor. So again, it makes no sense to me that you would sign a non-disclosure agreement if indeed he committed these heinous acts. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel. And again, I'm not really providing, the most amazing coverage on this trial with this segment or any of the segments I do on this trial in particular, because it's not as clear-cut as the Alec Baldwin saga, where he literally ends someone's life because of being completely careless and irresponsible by accident. By accident, he did, not intentionally. But it just strikes me a bit as possibly disingenuous. So, possibly disingenuous. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right now.